Hello and welcome to Business Reform. I am Jon Padfield and I am an assistant professor of management at Indiana University's Division of Business, where I teach classes in operations management, supply chain management, and data analytics. However, this YouTube channel and all of the videos that I create for it are separate from my teaching and research responsibilities at Indiana University. The views that I express on this channel are my own. When I began my career in the corporate world in 1988, I went to work for a major automotive company. After about 6 months, I was sent to Detroit, where I went through a week-long training class. During that week-long training class, one of the vice presidents of the company came down, and I will never forget the discussion that he had with a room full of about 30 or 40 new employees that had only been with the company for a matter of months. He walked into the room and he asked if anyone could tell him why the company was in business. And I will never forget the exchange that took place. One person sitting in the front row raised their hand very promptly, and when he was called on, he said, to make the world's best cars. And the vice president looked at him and said, wrong. And there was kind of a hush that fell over the room. And then somebody else raised their hand and said, to make money. And the vice president said, yes. And I will never forget the words that came out of his mouth next, because it left an impression with me. His exact words were, this company, that'll remain nameless, this company is in business for one reason and one reason only, and that is to make money. And we will do so even if we have to open a brothel to do it. End quote. That was in 1988. I understand businesses are in business to make money. That is the fundamental purpose why businesses exist. However, it is my belief that over time, that has become the sole purpose of business. All the way back in 1988, there was a vice president who actually used those words, we are in business for one purpose and one purpose only. I want to challenge that. I do believe in capitalism. I do believe in business. I teach for the division of business. But I believe that companies must do a better job in making holistic decisions. The purpose of this channel is to talk about the intersection of business, health, and the environment. When I think about the intersection of business and health, there are numerous things that we can talk about. Some companies have environments that are detrimental to their employees' health. Some companies have very high stress levels that they place on employees that can manifest in all types of health problems. Some companies have mandatory overtime requirements, which, again, from a business standpoint, I understand businesses get busy sometimes, and sometimes it is really necessary to produce extra product to increase productivity at certain times of the year. I understand that. But when mandatory overtime runs for months and years at a time, you really start running a risk of doing damage to your employees' health. Swing shifts. Swing shifts, for anyone not familiar with it, that's where an employee may work first shift one week, the next week they're needed on second shift, so that employee is assigned to work on second shift the next week. The third week they could go to third shift or they could go back to first shift. They are going to be moved around to wherever they're needed. And again, I understand from a business standpoint that there are labor shortages on some shifts and that people get moved around from time to time. But again, this has a very disruptive effect on people's circadian rhythm. So this channel is going to look at some of these interfaces, some of these overlaps between businesses and business needs and the health of their employees, and for that matter, the health of their consumers. Some businesses are selling products that are harmful to people's health. They encourage overconsumption. There are companies in social media in particular, their products can be very harmful to the mental health of people. And so this channel is going to look in detail at some of these topics. When I think about the overlap between business and the environment, again, there are numerous things that we can and that we will talk about. For instance, shorter and shorter product life cycles, meaning the new version of a product comes out, marketing does their job trying to generate demand, trying to get people to go out and spend more money to buy the latest version of something. Technology changes, new products are developed. This isn't always a bad thing, but it can be taken to extreme. When it comes to the world of fast fashion and people are buying clothes with the intent of only wearing those clothes 2 or 3 times before they replace them with something newer, we have to start thinking about the environmental cost of that. So when we start thinking about the overlap of business and the environment, there are numerous things that we will be looking at with this channel over time. We're going to be talking about right to repair. Should people have the ability to repair the products that they purchase? We're going to be talking about exporting and importing. I want to make it perfectly clear, and I'll elaborate on this in future videos. I have no problem with global trade. Global trade serves an important purpose. I personally like buying produce that's out of season in the United States, and I know that's coming from other countries. I have no problem with global trade. Where I do start to have a problem is when products start in the United States, they're shipped overseas to take advantage of low-cost labor, and then they're brought back to the United States. The company saved a little bit of money on labor, but at the expense of burning a tremendous amount of fossil fuel, pushing products across the ocean to take advantage of that low-cost labor. Plastic bottles are just another example of products that are sold. They're going to be used one time, and now we have a disposal issue getting rid of the plastic. When I start thinking about the overlap between business, health, and the environment all together, there are some companies that do an outstanding job of selling products that are useful, they are beneficial to people's health, and they are beneficial to the environment. The first company that comes to mind is Epic Water Filters. I have no financial ties to the company, but I am a big fan of their products. I will be doing product reviews in the future, and I will hope to be touring their facility and talking to some of their leadership. So this channel is not all negativity about things that are wrong. I'm also going to be highlighting things that are going very well. So what can you expect from this channel? There are a number of things. We're going to look at the growth of global trade over the last 30 years. Over the last 30 years, ocean-borne global trade, this doesn't even take into account anything that's flown in or anything that travels across national borders on trucks. Ocean-borne global trade over the last 30 years has increased from 4 billion tons to 11 billion tons, nearly tripling in 30 years. Along with that increase in global trade, we've seen an absolute explosion in the self-storage business. Self-storage business meaning people that have bought so much stuff it won't fit in their house and they have to rent a storage location to store their things in. So we're going to be looking at that. We're going to talk about product life cycles and planned obsolescence. We're going to be talking about the business of polarization. Again, this comes back to where businesses are sometimes thriving while doing things that are detrimental to people's mental health, sometimes even detrimental to civil discourse in the United States. My goal in creating this channel is to help business leaders think about some of the ripple effects of the decisions that they make. Over the course of my career, I have done a lot of financial analysis for executives, looking at the financial impact of consolidating warehouses, moving operations from one country to another. In all of the financial analysis that I have done for multiple companies, I have never once had an executive ask me, what's the environmental impact of doing this? What's the impact on people's lives of doing this? The analysis that I've done over the course of my career has really been focused on finances. As I look back over my career before I became a professor, I realized that I was a part of the problem. This channel is a part of my attempt at helping current and future business leaders to think more holistically. We're going to be talking about all of that and much, much more. I'm going to be doing book reviews. The first 2 book reviews are a book called Sickening, written by John Abramson, and a book called Unraveled, talking about the garment industry. So these are some of the things that you can look forward to. We'll be doing book reviews and occasional product review, but we're mainly going to be focusing on the overlap of business, health, and the environment. Hope that you'll join me on this journey. If you like this type of content, I would encourage you to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. If you have suggestions about what you would like for me to cover in future videos, please leave that in the comment section. I look forward to hearing from you, and thank you for watching.